Welcome. How's everyone doing? Yes, I see lots of people already waiting in the chat. That's what I like to see. Lots of students eager to learn. Yes, we're all ready. We're going to be starting the class in about 20 minutes. So all of you here are 20 minutes early. Mikey! Mikey, where is this? For Kai's 36 minutes ago, a minute ago, top of the hour, that was 36 minutes ago. What are you doing, Mikey? Mikey. Hold on. Where is the I have the file. I saved all of the times for people who own times. I don't know where I put the file. I'll have to find it later. I think it might take a couple minutes. I don't know where I put my file for that. Mikey, just get a time. Just get your own time. 세나, 안녕하세요, 빌리. 다시 만나서 반갑습니다. Mikey says, gotta make sure your internet is working. Mikey, did you just tag yourself? You tagged yourself. Yes. How's everyone doing? Atlas asked about OBS. No, OBS is fine. What it was I turned on the stream, but I always start early just to make sure it's all set up. But as soon as I switched the view, which I would normally switch the view and come out a few minutes after, as soon as I switched the view, I realized I had to adjust my angle a bit. So that's all it was. It was just me adjusting my angle, making sure you can see me clearly and you can see the background and the board clearly. It was just that. It wasn't there were no technical issues today. He meant to tag me. Yeah, I figured that he did. But he tagged himself. Thank you, Mike, again. Let's see. A few people here who are saying it's their first time. Welcome. That's nice. I always like to see new people. I get tired of the old. No, I'm just kidding. It's nice to see new people though in the stream. No more Adobe. So for those of you that don't know, Kai is the actual CEO of Adobe, the whole operations and everything. Owns the board of directors, owns 100% of the stock. So yeah, that's when Kai takes out her opponents, that's the last thing she says. She's like, no more Adobe for you. That's one of the catchphrases that she uses. Or your 7-day trial is now canceled. She has a few different catchphrases that she'll switch up if she takes you out. So yeah, don't get on her bad side. That's the lore. Cassia says, hello from Poland. Nice. Is this nice to meet you? Is this something else in Polish or is this just a typo? I don't know any Polish. I do have Polish ancestors. If you go back far enough on my mother's side, they were from that area, I believe, but I'm not quite sure where. I would be curious to find out exactly where. I can go back and be like, this is where my great whatever someone was born, or I don't know. I've been listening to lessons all day at work and then I get to listen to a live one. Nice. Welcome, Kimura. Yeah, there's at least 3 people here who have told me that this is their first live stream. So welcome. If you're here, maybe you're confused because you haven't joined my lives before. I always turn on the live streams a bit early. If you've seen the replays, you know that the first 20 minutes is just me talking and interacting with the fans. So you usually skip past the first 20 minutes or so. Yeah, we kind of hang out. I make sure that everything's working fine. Make sure everyone understands the prerequisites, which are counter words. You want to know about counter words before starting this lesson. At least you want to know how to count things. Like you should know the counter K for objects. You should know Sai for age. You should know, like Tan for glasses of something. Chung for like the floors of a building. Let's see what else you want to know. Oh, of course you want to know 1 for counting money. These basic counters, you want to be familiar with using them because we're going to be building on top of that concept for today's lesson, which is also a beginner level lesson, but it's kind of like a high beginner level lesson. So if you're like a new beginner, this lesson might be a bit tricky for you if you haven't yet learned counters. But if you are high beginner, intermediate level, I think this lesson will be perfect for you. Cecilia says, I'm always here, one of the regulars he's sick of. Yes. No, I could never get sick of you, Kai. Please don't cancel my Adobe. No, you're always welcome here. Lumi from Nigeria says, this is my first time. Nice. Zaiden says, maybe I'll revisit the stream once I'm deeper into the beginner lessons. As long as you know counter words, you'll be okay. If you don't know counter words and you're in this lesson, you can still understand at least what Jadi is going to mean. I'm going to make it clear. You're going to understand it. You just won't be able to use it. That's the thing. Is I'll make the lesson, all of my lessons, my goal is to make them understandable to the lowest level beginner. Like everyone should understand what's going on. In order to use it yourself, that's where the prerequisites come in handy. So this is just so you know, if you want to be able to use this form for yourself, you want to at least be familiar with counter words. But if you're okay with that, if you just want to learn the topic, you will learn the topic today, no matter, even if you've just learned the alphabet and you don't know anything else, you'll still at least learn what the topic is today. Hopefully. Welcome, Lexica. I see you wrote a message and then you deleted it. Maybe there was a typo in it, but I can't tell now. It's perfect. Miwa says, I've gone through the lessons, but can you re-clarify why subject marker in your textbook? Subject marker is not or le. That is the object marker. Subject marker is I or ka. The others are the object marker. Guess what your prediction about Charsu being in Squid Game 2 was correct? Yeah, Teleposse, I called it, right? I called it like 2 years ago or whenever when they announced Squid Game. Originally when they announced they're gonna be making it, and then again last summer when they started filming it. I haven't finished watching season 2, so no spoilers, but I have started it. It's not as good as season 1, but it's acceptable. And yeah, I predicted. So I don't think this is a spoiler, but I guessed, or maybe I shouldn't say it just in case. But I did make a prediction about a very small character that I predicted is going to appear in season 2, and I guess people have told me I was correct, but I haven't seen it yet. I also made some other predictions. One of the predictions that I was making was so ridiculous because it was an exact scene that I think the writer copied from another show that I'm familiar with. But I was like, I have a feeling he's going to copy it, but I didn't make it in my predictions file. It happened. And I was watching it, I'm like, this is literally the scene that I was thinking it would be in there, but I didn't put it in. I have a little predictions file I put in my Discord, if you know what I'm talking about, where I made some predictions for what's going to happen before I started watching it. But that prediction was so specific. There's one that's like so specific that happens in the very first episode that I was like, they're never going to do this because it's so very like specific guess. But yeah, it turned out to be true. I'll just say it's something in the bathroom with his ear. That's all I'll say. And it turned out to be correct, but it was actually one of my predictions. I just didn't write it down because I thought there's no way, like there's no reason to even predict it because it's so specific. But yeah, no spoilers from me. I don't like spoilers either. It's funny though, my wife and I have different policies on spoilers. So I'm in the camp where I don't want any spoilers. If I know, even like if it's good or bad, sometimes can spoil things for me. Whereas my wife doesn't care. Like I could tell her the ending of something and she'll be like, oh, okay, cool. And she'll still watch it. Like it doesn't bother her at all. So Abby or Abby, there's only one B, so I'm not sure how do I pronounce it? How much is that? How much is Rs 2000? Hold on. I have to pull up my little converter here. Oh my goodness. That's like $2. That's pretty cool. That's like the won. That's kind of like Korean won. It must be really convenient to convert your currency, which is, I believe, Argentina. Yeah, Argentine peso. It must be really convenient because it converts nicely into Korean won sometimes. Although not right now because the exchange rate is just horrible for Koreans right now. Thank you. And you said it's my first time watching one of your lives. Oh, there's a fourth person here who it's their first time. Your videos are very helpful. Welcome. Atlas says, I'm the same as your wife. Interesting. Are you also Korean? But yeah, she doesn't really care about spoilers at all. Like I could tell her like a movie that she's about to watch. I could tell her how it ends if there's a reason to tell her that. And she'll be like, oh, okay. Like she just doesn't really care. Whereas me, it's like, hey, did you know that this actor appears at the first scene of the movie? I'm like, don't tell me. But it's literally in the trailer. Don't tell me. Like, I don't want to know anything. It doesn't really matter though. I mean, if you think about it, do you enjoy a movie more the first time you watch it? If it's a really good movie, it doesn't really matter ultimately, right? If you're watching a movie that's legitimately good, it doesn't matter if you already know what happens. But it's for most of the movies that you watch where they're not so good that spoilers, I think, really hurt it. Because I'm never going to watch this movie again. But it's like, oh, it's not bad. In those cases, I really don't want to know the spoilers. If it's something where it's like, you're going to watch the movie 10 times, it's not so much of a big issue if you already know how it's going to end. Because it's still a good movie, you can enjoy it again. Like, I've watched the movie, I don't know if anyone else enjoys it, but I've watched the movie Inception. Not exaggerating at all. I've seen it at least 36 times, probably more. I'm just saying 36 to be safe, but I every single time it would be on TV, I'd watch it. Every single time I would be like going to sleep, I'd turn it on because it's just, it's free now. Yeah, I've seen that movie so many times, but it doesn't bother me already knowing how it ends. It's still kind of fun watching it. It's not, it's not the best movie ever made, but it's like a guilty pleasure, I guess. 30 times. Yeah, it's more than 30. I'm just saying at least 30 because I stopped counting after 24. Like I would count every time I watch it, like, oh, this is like the 15th time I've seen it. But I stopped counting. Like every single time it's on, like there's an option to watch and I can't think of what to watch, I'll just turn it on. Like I memorized the whole movie, but it's okay. It's fun. It's also not mysterious anymore. Like I already got everything going on in the movie, like all the like secrets and everything. Like I totally know the ending of it. Like doesn't have that mystery anymore, but it's still fun for me. Jonesy. Tell me how I pronounce that correctly. Johnsy, thank you so much. Let me write this up here and I'll read your comment in a second. Please let me know how to pronounce your name. Is it Jonesy or Johnsy? I think it's Jonesy. Jonesy sounds a little better. But if it's Johnsy, I apologize. Jonesy, thank you so much. You say, I took the first lesson in your beginner course 1 year ago today. Okay, wow. Thank you for putting together such an amazing course. That is awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And I'll have another course coming up as well. If you finish the first course, you might already know this, but there is a sequel. A direct sequel to the beginner course is the conversation course. Even though it doesn't look like it, I named it different. It is actually a full, it starts off right where the first season ends. And it doesn't assume you know anything that wasn't already taught in the beginner course. So if you watch the beginner course and then instead of making a sequel to the beginner course that just does 100 more episodes, I decided it would be better if I just say, you know what, at this point, you're good to go. So let's just do some real conversations. And the level, it's a really big level jump, but everything's in there. So if you work through it slowly, you can start that. Biff Gore says, I can't believe I finally made, that's an interesting name. Does your name have anything to do with Back to the Future Biff? So really quick announcements. If you are already a Patreon member or a channel member, thank you so much. If you're not, if you join my Patreon page, you'll get access to all of my outlines for all of the live streams I've ever done. You'll also get worksheets for all of the live streams. So there's already a worksheet for today's lesson that's up on Patreon, and you can join Patreon for as little as $1, and that supports me. That helps me to live. I was gonna say, like, you know, keep this channel running, but really it's like that's literally what I pay my rent with. So yeah, it does help me to keep making these videos. It also allows me to not accept sponsorships, because I do get message on a regular basis. I'll get companies messaging me to promote their cosmetics, their tutoring platforms, which, you know, it's okay. But, or, you know, random VPN companies, all this stuff, I do get offers, but I have turned every single one of them down so far. I only rely on your support for these, this channel, as well as donations. So people like Jonesy, sorry. You just have to change your name so I can pronounce it. I apologize. But yeah, so also, this is really important. Normally, there is no live stream next week because we did a live stream last Sunday and we're doing a live stream today. So next Sunday is off. However, I have a special surprise for all of you. I'm going to do another class next week because there are 2 more related topics to this lesson we're doing today, and no one asked about them because I think maybe most people don't know that these are also a topic, even though they're aware of jari. Most people aren't aware that these are also related terms, though they don't work the same way, but there's also ochi and chi. So I want to teach these as well. And I want to teach them next, whether you want to learn it or not. I want to teach these to you next. But we don't have a class next Sunday. So you know what I did? I made a class for next Sunday. So next Sunday, we're going to have another live stream. I'm going to teach you these. And then the week after that, I'll take a Sunday off. So this time we get 3 classes in a row instead of 2. I know, congratulations. But yeah, just letting you know, we'll have another class this coming Sunday. And then the week after that, we'll be off. And then we'll be back to our 2 class and then 1 off, 2 class, 1 off schedule again. Okay. Let's see. Zaiden said, isn't that almost a 3-hour movie? Is it? Is Inception 3 hours? I know it's like at least 2 hours and 20 something or 30 minutes, because it's the same length in hours as the original song is in minutes and seconds. That's all I know. So I think it's like 2:30 something. But yeah, it doesn't really feel like it for me. I guess it's entertaining enough. No, this tablet just, I gotta reload. 1 second. So my tablet, which was supposed to die, somehow is still alive after I don't know how long it's been. But the touchscreen stopped working forever ago, so I have to use this separate keyboard, a USB keyboard, to control it. Let's see if I can there we go. I think that'll work. Okay, let's put this back. I think I fixed it. But there's no battery indicator. I can't tell how the battery is. There's no sound. Of course, yeah, there's no touch screen features. It's just a screen for viewing comments. Mikey asks, Billy, do you do a New Year's resolution? No. And I'll tell you why. Because, so this is the prerequisite you want to know for today. Again, you just want to be familiar with counter words. If you're not, you can still follow along the lesson. You just probably won't be able to use it yourself. But we'll start in just a second, just a few more minutes. No, I don't do New Year's resolutions because if there's something I really want to do for the new year, what there sometimes are, like I have goals for 2025. One of them is, I mean, I probably shouldn't say them. I'll just let you know when they come out. But I do have some goals for things I want to do in 2025, but they're not really New Year's resolutions. I'm just starting them now. It's like, if I really want to do something the next year, I'll just do it. I don't really set it as a goal that I start on January 1st, because if I start on January 1st, there's no guarantee I'm ever going to do it. Whereas if I just start it right now, then I'm already doing it. So that's kind of what I do, is I just start it. And if it works, it works, but I don't have to make it rely on, I don't need to wait for a new year to start doing new things, if that makes sense. But if you want to set a New Year's goal for Korean, my recommendation would be to set daily goals. So don't set a New Year's goal of like, this year I'm going to learn Korean, because it's really vague. Do a New Year's goal of something that's more concrete. So every day I'm going to study Korean for 15 minutes. It's a very small amount of time, but you can definitely hit that goal. And as long as you hit the goal every day, you're doing it. You are learning Korean. And then when you start for 15 minutes, you might realize, oh, today I'm actually free. I'm going to do it for 4 hours. Okay. Or today I'm really busy. I don't have any time, or I'm sick, or I have to do something, or I'm out of town. 15 minutes. Like just do a concrete goal that you know you can keep. Or maybe you want to be more ambitious. You have a lot of free time, say 30 minutes a day or something. But that's kind of what I would recommend if you're going to set a goal. That way you don't feel demotivated, because if you set a goal like, I'm going to be conversational by the end of the year or something, that could happen if you are practicing every single day, but it doesn't give you any way to get to that goal. Hey, Keith, welcome. Vid Freak says, I'm an absolute beginner. What video should I watch from your Barry? Barry? I don't understand. What is that? What is the Barry? Okay. Someone get this man a new tablet. Well, to be fair, I did a fundraising goal for a new tablet like a year ago, because when this stopped working, I knew it was going to be any day soon that it would just stop turning on or whatever. But so we did a fundraising, and I think I raised like $100 for a tablet, which is enough to buy like a cheap tablet. So I was getting ready I picked one out. I was going to order it, and I was going to do it as soon as this one died. And yeah, here we are. It's still alive and kicking. So I'm waiting for this thing to die. I'm praying for it to die so I can get a new one. But I also am not someone who likes to just buy new things to have new things. So yeah, as soon as it dies, I'm going to order a new one, but it's still okay. I guess it still works. I can't do anything, and the battery will die after 2 hours, which is also unfortunate. We'll start in just a minute. Library. Oh, okay. Library. A library. So this is the mythical library. The Kojimar Peri. I'm going to visit the library. Like my probably something my son, Jeremy, would have said when he was like 3 years old. Let's go to the library. Maybe. I see. If you are brand new, then you want to start with my beginner course, which will start from the very beginning and go to a decent level, a conversational. And I'll put a link in the chat. Let's see. Can I do it here? Beginner Korean. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay. Check out the beginner Korean course. And I also recommend getting my cheat sheets, because there are 6 cheat sheets that correspond with lessons in that beginner course that you're going to want, especially one for the alphabet and for sound change rules. So I really recommend getting the cheat sheets. They're free. You don't have to pay for them. They're free, but that will save you a lot of headache when you're learning about conjugation rules. Oh yeah, and conjugation rules too. So the alphabet, sound change rules, and conjugation rules are going to save your life. And the cheat sheets have all of those on there completely free. Which berry lies the most? That's a good question. Which berry lies the most? There's cheats for an alphabet? Yes, there are. They're just like cheat sheets you'd have on like a test or something. All the names of the letters, you can't really see it that well, but just trust me, they're there. All the names of them. So how do you call the letter? The stroke order for all of them, which is important. Tips for how to pronounce them, because a lot of them are pronounced differently than you think they are. And the syllable blocks, all of the 6 syllable blocks that you have to learn. And then a bunch of tips for pronunciation besides that, like how to pronounce them, the different, and then the order of them. If you're looking up a word in a dictionary, you want to know the order of the letters, all that stuff's there. Yeah, completely free. I'll make more. I don't know when, but I would like to make some more if I can. Kai! Thank you, Kai. I saw a donation pop up and I noticed it was the top of the hour. So that has to be Kai. It can only be Kai. Top of the hour donation. I've been recommending your channel so much lately. People think you're paying me. Maybe I should start an affiliate program. Every time you mention me to your friend, you click a button and it's on the honor system. You click a button and it transfers money from my account into your bank account. As long as no one clicks it a bunch of times, I think it would be a pretty sound idea. What do you think? And how is Jeremy feeling? Oh yeah, Jeremy's all better now. He started feeling better Monday of this week, I'd say. Well, yeah, last week technically. Monday he started feeling better, and but before that he was like really, really sick. And then after he was sick, my wife got sick, and she's now almost better. But somehow I didn't get it. I was passed over by the gods. So I was saved. I didn't get it. I really didn't want it because it was something bad. Okay. Yeah, that was fun. Okay. Seems dangerous to my bank account. Nah, it should be okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's go now. All the people who are here for their first time, they're like, who the heck's this guy? What's his issue? Actually, let me write this a little bit nicer. The only thing you need to know today about how to use study is that it goes directly after a word. Now, what word does it go after? Well, most of the time, almost all the time, it will go after what's known as a counter word. There are some other words you'll see it used after as well, like how many, stuff like that. But typically, it'll go after a counter word. And what it means is an amount of something. But you can also think of it as meaning worth of, like an amount of something. So that amount is worth whatever. Or it can be used for just a number, like how many numbers of something, like 3 of something or 10 of something like that. But the core meaning is just it's an amount of something. An amount of what? Well, it's the amount of whatever word it's used after. So if you have the counter word, for example, let's just do the counter word 1. I'm going to try to explain this really simply first. That way we can, before we see some examples. So if you have the counter word 1 for money, you probably are familiar with this. Maybe you didn't know it's a counter word. If you say 1,001, 1,001, this is a counter. 1,000 is a number, so you have 1,001, right? A counter word is just something that you use to count things with, like 1,000 what? Is it 1,001? Is it 1,000 monkeys? Is it 1,000 slices of cheese? 1,000 whatever? That's the counter word. So in this case, if we have 1 jari, it's going to be one word, sticks together, so you would have 1 jari, which means something worth 1,001, or an amount of 1,001, or a number of 1. In this case, 1,000 of 1. That's all there is to jari. Now, by itself, that should seem really simple, right? It just means an amount of something or something worth that much. But what makes jari a bit complicated, especially for beginners, is that the translation of jari is almost never worth or amount or number. It doesn't translate like this. It'll have a different translation for every single counter that it's used with, unfortunately. So if we just look at our initial example, 1 jari, let me give you a really quick example. Actually, let me get some more board space. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. Hopefully you wrote that down. So this is just a really quick example of just this is just a really quick example using it. This isn't a sentence. So if we were to have 1,000원짜리, again, 짜리 is an amount of, or a quantity of, no, sorry, or something worth, or a number of something. So in this case, 1,001 amount, or something worth 1,001, or a number, in this case, 1,000 of one. How would you translate this though into English? Because if you say 1,001 amount or number 1,000 of one, it doesn't really naturally translate. When you use this study with the counter one, the most common way to translate it, or one common way to translate it, is either just worth, like 1,001 worth, maybe, or valued at 1,001. So in this case, when you use it with money, you might want to translate it as valued at, or maybe if you have a 1,000원짜리, a coupon. If you have a 1,000원짜리 coupon, you have a coupon worth 1,001. You can think of it like that backward, or a coupon valued at 1,001. Because you can't really translate just amount of or number of naturally in most sentences. And if we change this word that we're using before 짜리, none of these are going to work anymore. You're not going to be able to say worth or valued at. In fact, this is the only one where you can actually use that word worth with any of the counters that I can think of, except money. You know, you could have dollar, 달러. Then you can also translate it, if it's another monetary value, you could also translate it as worth. But every counter you use it with, sorry, let me say that again. So every counter that you use 짜리 with will likely have a completely unique translation. And that's the only thing that makes this tricky to use. Whereas the literal meaning of it is just something worth whatever, or an amount of, or number of something. Okay. I'm going to leave this up for just a second, and then we're going to do our first example sentence. I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast. Okay. Lexica. I look down and I see Lexica shining there. Shining like an angel in the chat. Do you like the numbers after your name? 510? Or was 509 up to 509 already taken? Or was there another reason for it? Checking in for minute 7. Nice. I was 2 minutes late to see it then. 여러분 보라해요. A BTS fan, obviously. 많이 고맙습니다, 빌리 선생님. Oh, small typo. 고맙습니다. Should be sip with the Mikey says, so it would be used on The Price is Right. Come on down. I always wanted to be on the Price is Right, but I never really bothered to go there, and like, cause you know, I'm in LA, so I could just drive down there. I think the studio's in Burbank. It's not even that far. But my friend went on the show before, but I don't think he didn't get into the area, but I think my friend's mom did, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, one of my friends went on that show. Anyway, back when Bob Barker was still doing it. Now it's Drew Carey. I used to watch that show a lot. 510 is Oakland Pride. Okay. So Natalie is asking, would you see it on a price tag? No. On a price tag, all you're going to see is this. 1,000원. Although it's probably more than 1,000원, but you know what I mean. 짜리 is going to be used because you're not going to see like a price tag in English. Imagine this is English. What would you see a price tag on that says anything other than just the price? Is it going to say like a bag that says 1,000원짜리? Like this bag is worth 1,000. Like they're not going to say that. Price tag's always just going to have the price. Hale is asking, could this be translated as each? For example, the 호떡 are 1,000원짜리. No. I mean, you could translate it any way you want because translations are for people who don't know the language. So if you can think of a sentence in which each sounds nice, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But there are other words for saying each. Like you can use 씩. 씩 means each. So 1,000원, 1,000원씩이요. They're each 1,001. But if you're saying 1,000원짜리 호떡, that wouldn't mean 1,001 each 호떡. It just means the 호떡 is worth or valued at 1,001. So it's a 1,001 호떡. You can think of it like that. Not 1,001 each 호떡. But you could say it's the 호떡 or 1,001 each. I mean, you're not like wrong. It crashed again. What's going on? I don't think this is the tablet though. I don't think this is the tablet. I think this is just YouTube being dumb today, because it also crashed on my desktop. And I know my desktop is actually, my desktop's pretty dumb too. I was just about to defend my desktop, and then I realized, no, I built this thing almost 9 years ago. It's kind of reaching its end of life, but desktops are expensive. Even when you build it yourself, it's still it's not cheap. I did save a lot of money though by building this myself, and I'll do it again, but it's not ready yet. I think I'm gonna wait until it's 10 years old, and then I'm gonna actually do a real upgrade. Yeah. My YouTube crashed too. Okay, yeah, it must just be YouTube. I was trying to blame it on here, but then I saw it also crashed on my desktop. So I think it's just YouTube today is having issues. Billy blaming YouTube so he doesn't have to buy a new tablet because the screen still turns on. Yep. No, I'm totally gonna replace this after it dies, but it's still good. You know, maybe it'll be good forever. That saves me money, and that makes me happy. Okay. So let's do an example. Let's do a real example now. Oops, I ran out of space. Let me try that again. I gotta write it not too small, but there we go. Now I have space. That looks horrible, but whatever. Honey. Is this pen running out? I think it is. I think this pen is running out. The brown pen, because I don't see it has any more. Is it? Do these have? Yeah, these have ink in them, I can see, and this one, the brown one, doesn't. Okay, whatever. It's okay, I have more pens. Okay, here's a real world example. 5,000원짜리 우산. So before we look at the whole sentence, let's just look up to this part. 5,000원. So 5,000, 5,000원. So 5,001. 짜리. Again, don't necessarily immediately just think worth or valued at as soon as you see one 짜리, because I want you to think about the word 짜리 as its literal meaning, which is worth of, or an amount of, or a number of. So let's try to look at it like that. So amount of 5,001. So worth 5,001, or 5,001, whatever comes after it. So in this case, let's look at it like that. 5,001 umbrella. That's it. You could translate this as an umbrella worth 5,001, or an umbrella that's valued at 5,001. But in this case, we could actually just read it directly and say 5,001 umbrella. So now we can connect. So now maybe you can see that this form, 짜리, actually, let's not say form. So now you can see that this word 짜리 can be used to connect a noun, specifically a counter word, with another word directly. So now we have the meaning of not just 5,001 and umbrella. Now we have a 5,001 umbrella. So it's useful for connecting a counter word, kind of like an adjective, directly before another noun, right? Because if you just said 5,000원 우산, that doesn't mean 5,001 umbrella. It just means 5,001 umbrella. These words are not related at all. It's just random. You can't just say 5,000원 우산. That's like, I'm trying to think, how would that even make sense? It just sounds like two disjointed words. It doesn't mean that it's a 5,001 umbrella. It just means 5,001 umbrella. This is how you connect words together that have a counter in them. So now instead of just saying 5,001 umbrella, you can say a 5,001 umbrella. Meaning, well, I got a hair in my eye. Ow, there we go. An umbrella that is worth, that is valued at, that is the amount of 5,001. Okay, so 5,000원짜리 우산이, so a 5,001 umbrella is 낫다. 낫다, this verb 낫다 means to be preferable. To be preferable or to be better. So this is the word you're going to use to say that's better, as in I prefer that, it's better. So a 5,001 umbrella is better than 보다 a 5만원짜리. In this case, 5만원. 만 won is 10,000 won. So this is 10,000. So 50,000 won umbrella. 낫네요 is better. So a 5,001 umbrella is better than 보다 a 50,001 umbrella. What do you think about that? Do you think 5,000원짜리 우산이 5만원짜리 우산보다 낫네요? Do you agree with that? I do. Actually, I do, because you get a really expensive umbrella and you're never going to want to take it outside. It gets like dirt on it. You're going to like wipe it off, and you're never going to, it's actually raining. You're going to use your cheap one because it might get broken, especially in Korea during like the typhoon season, when your umbrella is going to get flipped, like, inside out and break. The 5,001 umbrella is just better in every way. Kai says, Adobe is going to send you a new tablet, but you have to use Adobe on it. Okay, I will do it. If Adobe sends me a Adobe tablet, I will use Adobe on it. I already have Adobe Adobe Acrobat Viewer, but I'm too cheap to buy the full version. Elisa says, is it okay if I write with the keyboard letters on paper instead of the actual way to write it? I'm not sure what you mean. Just got here. 여러분 안녕하세요. Welcome. Okay, so this is a very basic example, and I think that if you understand it with 원짜리, you're going to be able to understand it with other counters, even though the translation is going to be completely different. So, most commonly, you'll see 짜리 used after one. Most of the time, you're going to see something 원짜리. It just tends to get used that way the most often, because what 짜리 means is something value, something worth or whatever. So it just tends to get used with one the most often, but it doesn't have to be. There are a lot of counter words you can see this used with. So let's do another example. I wrote it too big again. Okay, so now we're talking about like one of the, I think the last one in the part of Harry Potter, or the third Lord of the Rings movie, or any of those really long movies that shouldn't have been like over 3 hours, but were. 3시간짜리. So this sentence doesn't use 원짜리, but it uses 시간. Now, 시간 means time, but when you're using 시간 as a counter, so when you're using a number before it, 시간 means hours. So this is the hour counter. So 3시간 is 3 hours. In this case, 3시간짜리 means, before we look at the next word it comes with, again, 짜리 means an amount of, or a number of, or worth. So something that is worth 3 hours doesn't really make sense. Something that is the amount of 3 hours? Maybe. Something that is 3 hours as a number of whatever comes after it? Maybe. So let's look at it like that. Let's look at this as just a way to connect a counter directly with a noun that comes after it. So 3시간 is 3 hours. 영화 is movie. So we could just skip all of the translation nonsense and go straight to 3-hour movie. That is what it is. 3-hour movie. So how would you translate in natural English 3시간짜리 영화? Think about it for a second. You could say 3-hour movie, but there's another way you probably could say it. It's not going to be a movie worth 3 hours like we had before, or a movie valued at 3 hours. Is there a space before 짜리? No, it's directly attached. A 3-hour long movie. Yeah, 3 hour long. You could translate it in this case. In fact, anytime you're using an amount of time as the counter, long, like if this was 3분, like minute, 3분짜리 영화 would be a 3-minute long movie, or skip all that and just say 3-minute movie. So a lot of times you actually don't have to necessarily do any tricks to translate it. You can just remember that it's useful for connecting a counter word with a number directly to a noun. So here, 3-hour 짜리, again, 짜리 is something worth of, or something with an amount of, or a number of something. You could literally think of it as like a movie that contains or has the number of 3 hours in it. The movie contains 3 hours. Yeah, you can kind of think of it like that, literally, but more naturally just 3-hour movie, or 3-hour long movie if you want to add in that extra word. 3시간짜리 영화를 봤더니. Now, if you don't know this 더니 form, you don't need to for this sentence, but 더니, really quick, I have lessons about it, but really quick, it's kind of like it has two uses. One of them is, and as a result, like literally the meaning, and as a result, like that. Another one is used for showing surprise, like you're really shocked at something, like, man, I saw that movie and you'll never guess. But it's kind of has the same purpose. It's for sharing one thing happens and then something you'll never believe happens after that. So I saw a 3-hour long movie, 영화를 봤더니. So I saw a 3-hour long movie, and then what happened after that was 너무 피곤해요, and I'm so tired. I saw that 3-hour long movie and I am so tired. 너무 피곤해요. 3시간짜리 영화를 봤더니 너무 피곤해요. So I saw a 3-hour long movie, and as a result, I'm so tired. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a second and then we're going to go on. I have this lesson, we're going to go through all of the most commonly used counters with this, but you can see it with any counter, just that most commonly it's going to be with a few. Taehyung. Taehyung. Taehyung's bear. Hi, Billy, wishing you a very happy new year. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's going to be New Year soon. Here's to another year of amajin. Amajin. Amazing Korean learning. Amazing. Thank you, Taehyung's Kuma. Tony, cause and effect. It can be, yes. I see Lexica's familiar. Lexica's like, Kuma. Taehyung's like, Lexi. BIA or Baya asks, is 짜리 only used after a counter word? No, but most of the time it is. And you'll see there's one example in this today's lesson we're going to do that's not used after a counter word, but most of the time it is. And the one time it's not, you'll see, it'll make sense why it's not. Would it also be acceptable as watched a 3-hour long instead of saw? Yes. Let me show you why. 보다, the verb 보다 that we saw for 영화를 봤더니, 보다 is to see or to watch. This is why some Koreans will have difficulty when we are expressing that I saw a movie versus I watched a movie. Like, which is correct? Well, they're both correct. They have different nuance, but you can see a movie or you can watch a movie. But 보다 is also used for meet, as in, did you meet someone? 어제도 봤는데? I saw him or her yesterday too, meaning not just that you saw them, but you probably interacted with them too. So, and then it's also used as an auxiliary verb in the form like 해 보다, which literally still means to see or to watch, but it's used for like trying something out. But yeah, it's either see or watch. You're fine with both. There are other terms you can use if you want to specify, like I viewed something, like I participated in the viewing of the thing that occurred. Like there are other more fancier ways to say view. Like if you're talking about on YouTube, they have the usually you could say like YouTube 영상을 보다. You can use that. I watched a YouTube video, but you can also use the expression 시청하다, which is actually to view. 시청하다, which is where the word 시청자 comes from. 시청자 is a viewer. And they have some other words for this too. Let's make sure I'm spelling everything correct. Yeah. And then there are a few other terms that they use on YouTube as well. But you could use those as well. And then there are different words for like watch or observe, like we have in English. But typically you can use 보다 for any of them. Okay, so BTS thing, it's oh, it is it? It's V's birthday today. I did not know that. I actually didn't know their birthdays. How would you say I saw them without implying that you met them? Well, you can just say you saw them, and if you need to clarify, you can say that you saw them passing by, or you saw them across the room, or you saw them like that. From my window, I saw them. You can specify where you saw them from or what they were doing when you saw them. But you usually don't need to specify like, oh yeah, I saw them yesterday. In English, we can also say that to mean like you met them, like maybe you talked with them. But in Korean, it's used more commonly like, oh, I'm going to go see this person, or I just saw that person. But yeah, it just has to do with the context. Okay. This is the counter for years old. You probably know this. For example, I am 38, 38, 38살입니다. 이에요. 5살, 5-year-old. So you can say 5살이에요. That kid is 5 years old. Well, 살 is a counter. So what if you wanted to say a 5-year-old child? Okay, 5살짜리. So here, 짜리, again, worth of or amount of or number of, in this case, 5 years old. So a 5-year-old child. A is just short for I. So a 5-year-old child, or a child that is 5 years old. You can also think of it like that. But I can't really think of another way you can translate this in English. 5살짜리 애가. So a 5-year-old 아이가 어떻게, how? 요리하다 is to cook. So how could a 요리를 해요? How could a 5-year-old child cook? 5살짜리 애가 어떻게 요리를 해요? How could a 5-year-old cook? 5살짜리 애가 어떻게 요리를 해요? Okay, I'll leave this up just enough time to write it down. Then I have a few more sentences. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more examples of this with different counters. Okay. Taehyung wrote a message but then retracted it. We'll never know. Rayon asks, how would you know the difference between the surprise and therefore? Oh, because it's both. So that, if that helps, it's like therefore, oh, if that helps. So if you're going to be using Tony, it's going to be something, it doesn't have to be necessarily you're surprised at it. I was using that as an example. It's anything that's unexpected. So it could be unexpected, therefore I'm surprised, but it could also just be, and then you'll never believe what happened after that. And it could be something that's not really a surprise, but you're just conveying it wasn't expected. So yeah, I think a good way to translate it though in most cases is and as a result. Actually the expression and as a result. Like, because it leads up to what's coming after. It gets you ready for that they're going to say something else, which is probably going to be something surprised, but it's just something that's unexpected. Is A more common than I? Yes. A is more common than I. In fact, A is also used commonly in slang expressions. So, like you might see 남자애, 여자애 more than 남자아이, 여자아이, but I is the proper word. If you're trying to like do a test or, you have to do something for school, use I because that's the full word for child, but A is more commonly spoken. And then, you'll never see like EI for like this dude or, for this girl for when you're talking about like slang to refer to someone, you're going to see ye, which is a shortened version of E and A, or 그애, K, or 저애, 제. Those words come from a combination of E, 그, and 저 with A, not from I. You're not going to say 그아이, 가이, 그아이, 저아이, 자이, 자이, or, you get the idea. They're used with this only. 15년짜리 scotch? Is there a 15-year scotch? I guess I don't know how they actually refer to drinks. If they use this in drinks, I can't tell you, but it sounds right. But is that the expression they use? I can't tell you because I don't drink enough. Let me check. It seems that they just use the year followed by the type. But I do see a blog post that says 10년짜리 위스키를 20년 가지고 있다고 30년짜리가 안 된다. Like I do see an article on Naver that does use it like that. But I think when they refer to it, they usually just call it the year and then the name because like that's what you'd see on the bottle, on the packaging. It would be like 10 year, right? But you can use it like that as well. Most of the time though, what I see is they'll do the price, like 10만 원짜리, and then scotch or whatever it is that they're talking about. But I don't know enough about it to tell you if that's what they normally use for those types of drinks as well. But yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so let's do another sentence. The only times I buy drinks are for gifting to friends in Korea. And that's a pro tip. If you want to get your friend in Korea something special from the US, nowadays, like you can order everything online. Hold on. YouTube just did it again. Nowadays, you can order everything online. So there's not really like, oh, I'll get my friend this like special candy or something. Like pretty much everything's available online nowadays, although the price is different. But one thing you can do is getting them any sort of medicine or vitamins that they want, because those are harder to get in Korea and really expensive. And sometimes they don't even sell them without a prescription. But another thing you can get them is drinks, because Korean drink selection is, like, what I understand, pretty pathetic if you are someone who likes to drink. I don't. I know next to nothing about it, but I do know how to Google and I do know how to ask other people who do drink. And there are a lot of drinks that you can get in the US that you cannot even import into Korea. They're not even available. The import fees would be insane if they did, and they're not even available, even on like the import websites. So if you find them like a nice drink, check on Naver to see if you can buy it in Korea. You probably can't. bring them that's going to be something really special. And the prices are also much better here. Usually you can get something cool for like under $50. Whereas in Korea, the exact same thing, even if they had it, would be like 5 times the price. So that's another tip. Okay. Yeah, I said I don't even drink, but usually each year I'll bring like a gift for my friends. Yeah, I think it was just YouTube being a bit weird today because it did have me refresh my chat as well several times today. Okay. Korea is seriously expensive in Canada. Yeah. Oh, this is same here too. Yeah. If you try to buy Korean drinks at a restaurant here in LA, I actually saw the exact same thing for $23 a bottle. It's like, what? People don't drink that because it tastes good. Don't you know? Koreans drink that because it's cheap. That's why it's so popular in Korea. It's like $2 a bottle. Koreans aren't in love with that stuff. It's just the cheapest way to drink. And but yeah, if you buy it at a Korean market though in the US, it'll be more affordable, like maybe $5 or something like that. But still, it's like, yeah, it's just ridiculous. And other stuff they do have, I'll just say check before you buy, because some things you might think that they haven't, they wouldn't have this in Korea, but they do for some of the really major brands. Like really common stuff is in Korea, but if it's anything like a little bit off the beaten path, that's like better quality or something, they're not going to have it in Korea. Or if they do, it'll be ridiculously expensive. And yeah, I just think they make good gifts for people. So in Maryland, I can get one for $7. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah, okay. I'm avoiding talking about this too much because I don't want to mess up the video's monetization later, but you get what I'm talking about. Okay, 거기서. So over there, 120층. 층 is the counter for floors in a building. So 120층짜리 건물. 건물 is building. So a 120 floor building, we say story when we're counting floors, right? So 120 story building, 또 also 봤어요. So I also saw a 120 story building over there. 거기서 120층짜리 건물도 봤어요. So 층짜리 is a 건물 that has 120 stories, 120 floors. That's really all there is to this form. I'll give you some more examples just so you can see it with some other counters. But if you get this concept that it's used for connecting something with a counter to a noun, you've mastered 짜리. And you're going to see it all over the place. In this case, you wouldn't just say 120층 건물, because that's like 120 floors, a building. Like, they'll understand what you mean. They'll understand you mean that the building has that many floors. And there are other ways to say a building that has 120 floors if you want to be literal. But this is the way to connect those together nicely. So now you have a building that has, what does it have? 120 floors. So it puts them together nicely into one piece. 거기서 120층짜리 건물도 봤어요. So I also saw a 120 story building over there. All right, I'll leave this up for a minute. $5 a bottle in the State store. Okay, yeah, that's not terrible. I think that's about what it is here too in LA. Toronto has a craft that's slightly cheaper that you can get. It's still like $10. Yeah, just so you know that the drink that we're talking about, which I said I'm avoiding specifically getting into too much detail, but the thing we're talking about is popular in Korea for the reason that it's cheap. The same way that, okay, I hope I don't make anyone upset with this. The same way that In-N-Out is popular in the US is the reason why that drink is popular in Korea. Like, yeah, In-N-Out's good. I really like it. But we're not lining up for 10 miles because In-N-Out's the best in the world. We're lining up because it's $3 for a cheeseburger. Like they make the price correct. The price is good, so you go there. If In-N-Out were to suddenly raise their prices to Five Guys prices, they would just shut down. Like, why would you pay $15 for this burger when I can get another burger for $10 that tastes a little bit better? Like, they have the perfect price point for that food, which is why we love it. Sometimes tourists will come to the US and try In-N-Out and be like, it's not that great. I'm like, you don't get it. For that price, it is incredible. It's the best thing in the world. But no one's comparing it to like a $20, custom made, handmade hamburger with like, half a pound of meat and 100,000 toppings, right? We compare it to other stuff you can get in that price range, which is the McDonald's value meal, the value menu, and there's nothing even close. So yeah, hopefully I made that clear. I'm not trashing In-N-Out. I really like it, but we love it at the price point. I thought it was tari. Tari is a different word. Tari without the double, but just the single means a seat or a spot. Like tari가 없어요. There are no seats left. There's no spot. There's no space for me. Like if you're looking through the parking lot, 자리 없네. 진짜 자리 못 찾겠어. I can't find a space. Or you're looking in a theater and there are no seats. 자리가 없어. 자리 찾았어. 찾았어. 자리 찾았어. I found a spot, like that. So it can mean seat or space or like that. Okay. I should be a little nicer than that. It's a little messy. There we go. It's easier to read. Okay. 어제, yesterday. 2m. So 2 meters. 2m 짜리. Again, something that is worth or something in amount that is 2 meters. 오징어, squid. 를 잡았어요. So I caught. 잡다 is to catch. 2m짜리 오징어를 잡았어요. So I caught a squid that is 2 meters, in this case, long, because it's meter. If it were a different unit, we wouldn't say long, but because it's meter, you can say that. Or you can just say a 2 meter squid and skip all of the translation. 어제, yesterday, 2m짜리 오징어를 잡았어요. I caught a 2 meter squid. So yesterday I caught a 2 meter long squid. 어제 2m짜리 오징어를 잡았어요. I almost made this sentence 2마일짜리 just to be funny, but I didn't want to confuse anyone. So I caught a 2 mile long squid. When I was dumb as a kid. I thought mistakenly that the giant squid, that scientists like barely can find any like pictures or video of them in the wild. I thought giant squid was a mile long. One of my friends still teases me about that I told him about that. I thought, it was a mile long squid. The giant squid, the mythical giant squid that's 1 mile long. But anyway, this one is only 2 meters, which is more realistic. It's the great 2 a.m. burger. Yes. That's true. And a lot of locations are open kind of late. I don't know if they're open till 2 a.m. though. James says, I accidentally discovered a word called 짜존 from this lesson. Not sure if it's a real word though. 짜존 is a word, but 짜존, I don't know 짜존 with that. Let me check. Nope. There is no such thing as 짜존 with the double. It's probably just ChatGPT having a hallucination. Again, YouTube just went down again. So I think it's just YouTube being weird today. There is no 짜존. There is 짜존, but not 짜존. I'm curious what ChatGPT said it means though. It's this fake word. 300장짜리 책을 읽었어요. Perfect, Keith. 10짜리 영화관 있었어요. Okay. Okay, Mikey. Mikey being a little cheeky there. That's not Squid, it's Cthulhu. Yes. That's how I feel about Steak and Shake. Really, I've never been there. So again, without 짜리, it would just mean 2 meter and squid without any connection. Correct, yeah. 2m 오징어. Like, you might see 2m 오징어 in like a news article that's trying to shorten it as short as possible, like a thumbnail. Like, you know, YouTube videos are trying to make their thumbnails and titles as simple as possible, but that's not how you actually say it. 어제 2m짜리 오징어를 잡았어요. So in your mind, anytime you have a counter with a number and you want to stick it onto another noun to say it's that amount, use 짜리. That's it. The translation is the kind of tricky part because we have to think about 2 meter. What's that? It's a length, so it's going to be long. Okay. It's 시간, it's time. So, time's also long, but it's money. So that money is worth or valued at. Okay. Like if you had 2,000원짜리 오징어, that would be a 2001 squid, as in a squid valued at 2001. But if you really just think of it as not existing, I think that'll help you with translating. Now that you know what this is, you're going to see this everywhere. 동상. That's a different word. I believe that's a bronze statue is the other word. Okay. 동생에게 5장짜리 편지를 받았어요. Okay, 동생, younger sibling. 에게 can mean to a person, or in this case, since it's 받았어요, 받다 to receive or to get, it is from my younger sibling. 5장. 장 is used for flat things, most often for sheets of paper, although it can also be used for t-shirts since those are also flat. 5장짜리 편지, a letter that is 5 pages. In this case, 장 is page, but you can think of it as like 5 pages long. 5장짜리 편지를 받았어요. So I got a 5-page letter from my younger sibling. 동생에게 5장짜리 편지를 받았어요. I don't even need to explain this anymore. You probably get it. I'm just going to leave it up for a minute so you can write this down, and then we'll go on to our next sentence. James says, a slang term derived from 짜리 and 돈, respect for value. Hold on. 짜리 is not used for value by itself. 치 can be used for value by itself, or 가 for price, like 가. Let me check that. There is another dictionary I can check. No, this doesn't exist. 짜존. 없어요. 그런 단어 없다고요. There is no such word. But it's funny though, James, that it says that and it made up something that seems like it could fit, except I can tell you right away that would be fake because, like I said, 짜리 is not used like that by itself. 짜리 is used as a word that's connected to a counter. It's not used by itself. So Koreans don't take grammar particles to make slang words. They take nouns or verbs to make slang words. They don't use grammar particles. That would be like taking the object marker or taking the subject marker E and then using that as like a part of a shortened word. So yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. But it's funny that it tried to make something that seems like it would be legitimate. Steak and Shake is kind of like In-N-Out. So cheap, nice skinny fries. Oh, okay, that sounds good. I don't have at least I don't think I have any of them near me. I could go for some fries, but we're all suffering from a stomach virus right now. Ouch. What if we want to say 5 letters? Do you know the word for, well, you can say the common counter for word is madi. 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 Not to be confused with madi, which is used for animals. If you said taso madi 편지, it's like a 5 animal letter. It wouldn't make any sense. Taso madi would mean 5 words, if that's what you're talking about. Letters, you would have to use 글자, or, I mean, it depends what you mean by letters. Do you mean like the actual tamo, like the syllable, or do you mean like the individual letters that are inside of there? But yeah. Anyway, 동생에게 5장짜리 편지를 받았어요. So I got a 5-page long letter from my younger sibling. Okay, hopefully I'm not going too fast or too slow. I'm just trying to make sure I give you a little bit of time to write down the sentences if you want. But if you don't want to write down the sentences, everything is also on the outline. Okay, next sentence. We have 2 more sentences for this form. Let's go back to 원짜리 for a second. You tell me what this sentence means. I want you, if you can't translate the whole sentence yet, just look at it up to this part. 5만 원짜리 한 장. Just up to here. I want you to tell me what 5만 원짜리 한 장 means. Just 5만 원짜리 한 장. Ignore the rest because I don't want to have to explain the grammar to everyone for that. 5만 원짜리 한 장. What does that mean? Write it in the chat. Exor says, hi, Billy, where do we use Chinese? So where do we use Sino-Korean and where do we use pure Korean number systems? It's really simple. You have to memorize every single use case. No, there are some tips though. Typically anything that is a measurements are most often Sino-Korean. Anything that is physically counted will most often be pure Korean. But there are exceptions to that. But if you want to think of it in like the actual words, like what words do you use it with? If it's a pure Korean word, you're also going to be using a pure Korean counter for it, usually. And if it's a Sino-Korean word, usually you're going to be using a Sino-Korean number with it. But again, that doesn't always hold. But generally, if you're doing some sort of measurement, like degree, length, weight, all of those are going to be Sino-Korean. And then like counting animals, counting people, counting things like actually that exist are typically going to be pure Korean. But you just have to still memorize individual counters. And that's one of the cheat sheets I also wanted to make, was a nice one for counters, but I haven't finished it. So I don't know when that'll be out. Yes, Keith, you are perfect. Raymond says, I just asked my significant other about this word. She says it has a negative connotation with used with a counter. I'm not sure. What do you mean? Can you explain? Can you give me an example or explain what you mean? This doesn't have any sort of negative connotation unless you're using it in a negative way. Like you're saying that person is only worth 1,000원, for example. But no, it by itself has no sort of negative connotation. It's just a grammar form. It means be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Gosh darn it, Will Wilson, you've got it. Yes, Keith. Yeah, I mean, I got what you said the first time. I knew it was just a small typo, but yeah. So, 5만 원짜리 한 장. So, 5만. Again, man is 10,000. So, 5만, 5, 10,000 is 50,000. 1, so that's the Korean won, the money, the currency. So, about like $40. 5만 원짜리. So let's look at 짜리 again. In this case, what are we connecting 짜리 to? What's coming after? What's the noun? We can't just say 50,001 squid, car, paper, book, or 50,000 won snack, or anything like that, because the word that comes after is actually another counter. Excuse me. Han, as in one, tang. Tang is the counter for flat things. So like pieces of paper. So like one sheet, right, of paper. So a 50,000 won, one sheet. What does that mean? We actually don't even need this to understand what 5만 원짜리 means. You can use one 짜리. Again, look at the literal meaning, 짜리. Something that's worth, or an amount of, or a number of. In this case, something that's worth 50,000 won. Well, what else is worth $50,000? What else is worth 50,000 won besides, well, a 50,000 won bill? So something worth 50,000 won is also just something worth 50,000 won, meaning a 50,000 wonner, a 50,000 won bill. So you'll often hear 원짜리 used also by itself if it's not used before another noun, but just to mean something that's worth that. In this case, a bill. So there's a 50,000 won bill you can get in Korea. It's like yellow, it's kind of like gold color. So 5만 원짜리 is a 50K won bill. 한 장, so one 50K won bill, and then the rest of it, 이면 돼요. Literally, if it is one of these 50,000 won bills, is it okay? Does it work? So just one of these is what it means. Just one of these 50,000 won bills? Just 50,000 won is how you can translate this sentence. 5만 원짜리 한 장이면 돼요? So if you're asking the price to someone and they say, oh, it's 10,000 each, and you say, oh, I want 5. And they say, okay, you say, oh, 5만 원짜리 한 장이면 돼요? Can I just give you one of these, pretty much? And they'll be like, duh, that's literally how math works. But yes, 5만 원짜리. So just note that you'll see 원짜리, it doesn't have to always be used with something coming after it. It can also just be used by itself to mean a bill. And there would be 1,000원짜리, which is the 1,000 won bill, 5,000원짜리, 만원짜리, 5만 원짜리. That's pretty much it. If you're talking about numbers lower than that, like if you have 500원짜리, well, that's a 50 cents. So that would be like 500 won. So yeah. One Piece. Yes, Golden Buffy. It is One Piece. That's the One Piece that they're talking about for all 1,000 episodes of that show. It's really, they're all just searching to find an 5만 원짜리. You know, they just want that 5만 원 because it's really valuable. You can buy like, I don't know, like at least a nice meal with that. $33 right now. I know it hurts. I mean, it's right now is wonderful. If you want to travel to Korea, you can get stuff cheap. This is the worst exchange rate Korea's ever had since 2009. For many reasons, which I won't go into. One of the reasons, though, is obvious if anyone has checked the news in the past month. But yeah, if you are going to Korea, you can get an amazing deal because the exchange rate over there is horrible. But if you're in Korea, you're trying to take any money out, it's also horrible. Christian said, I'd say is a 50,000 won banknote. Sure. I mean, I don't use the term banknote, but that is what it is. Okay. I have one more example sentence. Let's see, how am I on time? I'm actually perfect on time. Okay. Oh, I need more space. Let's start over here. 이건, which is just short for 이것은. So this thing, this 얼마짜리예요? 짜리. Again, an amount of or worth. 에요, is it? So 얼마 is how much. So how much is this worth? How much is this of whatever it is? So if you're talking about, like, typically it's going to be for one, for the price. So how much is this worth? 이건 얼마짜리예요? How much is this worth? What is this valued at? So maybe you have like I have an original one of these old, you can't really see it, but you know these old coins in Korea? This is a real one. It's not that valuable, like maybe a couple thousand won at most. But you might be like, oh, I want to buy this. 이건 얼마짜리예요? How much is this one worth? And then he would tell you, oh, that one's, I don't know how, I actually don't know how much it is. But okay. Kai, thank you. Kai, as for your Adobe tablet or Adobe laptop question or whatever, the tablet, I think, do they actually have Adobe tablets? But yes, if I get an Adobe tablet, I will use Adobe products on it. I'll use my Adobe Internet Explorer. I'll pay with Adobe Pay on my Adobe Watch. Everything will be Adobe, Adobe OS, and I will install Adobe Word. What else is there? And Microsoft Paint. Yes. Thank you so much, Kai, for your top of the hour support. Bia says, or Bea, I don't know how to pronounce it. First stream, very happy to be here. How often do you stream? Yes, the schedule is, I have it posted. Dogecoin. Oh, I didn't post that right. Okay. I'll post the schedule as well as all of the classes ever you can find in there for what's coming up. Although this coming Sunday, I'm going to do one more class as well. It's not on the schedule, but I will be doing it. I'll just go ahead and add it soon. Yeah, you got to do the rug pull coin right after the Adobe coin. Adobe, a place of Adobe. Yes. When I was a kid, if I heard Adobe, all I thought of was the the traditional Spanish construction, the technique for the material for building their houses, like the Adobe huts. That's all I could think about. But now if I try to search for information on that, all I find is Adobe products, which isn't what I'm looking for. I'm really interested. I want to find out how I can better construct my house using Adobe and, the material and those construction techniques. So it really made it hard for me. Savan says, I found you from your ATs videos. Oh, nice. Welcome. Anyone else here from finding me on my ATs videos? Billy sounds like he's actually getting sick with all the clearing of his throat. No, I'm actually completely fine. If I'm sick, though, I'll let you know. What it is I actually have... I'm going to erase this sentence. I'll tell you. Let me actually finish the lesson first. So, that is our lesson for today. That is everything you need to know about Duddy. Let me do a really quick thumbnail. Actually, I don't need to write anything on the board because I always replace it. Okay, that's my thumbnail. So I have something called 충농증, which is in English sinusitis. I've mentioned this before a few times, but it's basically like you always have allergies every single day. That's the short answer. It's like, like always year-round allergies. Your nose is always irritated. So I had surgery to fix it, which fixes it. It fixes all of the symptoms of sinusitis, except I still sometimes have where my throat gets a bit dry and irritated easily. So I'll cough or my throat will sound like I'm sick, but I'm actually totally fine. There's no pain or anything like that. It's just a little bit annoying sometimes. In Korean, though, most people know this word, which is like kind of weird because we don't know the word sinusitis in Korean. I mean, in English. But there's another word you should probably know that most people are familiar with as well, and that's pium. Let me check, double check I spelled that correctly. Because I do not have this. Yeah. This is Okay, rhinitis. Rhinitis is not, this is like where you just always have allergies, but it's from a different reason for it. I don't actually know the complete difference, but it's another word that Koreans are all familiar with. We would probably call it something like hay fever in English because we wouldn't know what it is, but it's different than hay fever. It's not seasonal allergies. It's like you always have allergies as well. So this is another thing, and Koreans are well aware of these two words, 중농증 and 비염. So yeah. So if anyone's wondering, like, oh, why is Billy coughing? Like, if I'm sick, I'll tell you, but I'm not sick. I actually feel totally fine. Lexica for minute 7 of the chat. Thank you so much. Oh wait, let's start. Okay. I can realize I can just write it over your previous number. Thank you. 감사합니다. Kingu says, I have both. Oh no. I'm sorry. Because you forgot your sour drink. Yes, it is a sour drink, but this one's strawberry flavor, which is less sour than the other ones. It's a little bit sour, but it's not as sour as like the blueberry or the other ones. But it's not because it's sour that it'll mess up my voice. It'll be the temperature. So I'll try not to have like really cold drinks or really hot drinks. Both of those will mess up my voice. And I have issues with recording because my voice will always be like messed up. So unless I speak like really loud and clear, sometimes it'll mess up my voice when I'm trying to do a recording for an episode. Will Wilson says, I have less allergies when I eat Thai basil. That's interesting. But yeah, I used to have a lot of issues from it. I would have constant allergies. I'd have to take allergy medicine every single day. And I'd like try all the different types. I found one that worked, but then it's like, even when you take allergy medicine, some days you would still get allergies and you'd be sneezing, you have like sinus headache and you can't breathe out of your nose. Every day I wouldn't be able to breathe out of one or both of my nostrils. So I got surgery for it in 2018 in Korea, actually. Because if I were to get surgery for it in the US with our incredible health insurance we have in the US, the best healthcare on the planet, I'd say. No, because of it, if I had gotten it in the US, I talked with the doctor, he said it probably would have costed somewhere like 60 grand or something. But I got it in Korea for, I think it was around 3,000 something at the time. And they did like the full surgery. I went to sleep, woke up, and it was all done. And I don't have any issues anymore, except like maybe once a year I'll have allergies from something specific, like random just allergies. And then I can just take a tiny like a quarter of an allergy pill I used to take, and it gets rid of it. So yeah, it's great. But not everyone can have surgery to fix it. It depends on what you have. I really need to start writing down my questions because when I'm studying during the week, I have questions and think, I'll ask on the live, and then forget by Sunday. Yes. Will Wilson says, Zyrtec flew out my eardrum. Wow, that's bad. Zyrtec was the one that I was taking, but I would actually do the generic one because I would have to take... I found out that this is like very specific, random, and too much information. I know you don't care, but I would do Zyrtec, but it was like too much. And I would have side effects, I thought, from taking it. So I reduced it. I would take a sixth of one tablet. Like I had a little pill cutter and I would have like a sixth of one tablet or even an eighth of one little tiny Zyrtec tablet. I would take a day and I slowly like tapered it down, and that worked pretty good. But yeah, it could be kind of strong. And the other ones didn't work. Like Claritin, I tried Allegra, and they did absolutely nothing. It was like the same as if I didn't take it. The only ones that would work would be Benadryl, but then I'd fall asleep, or Zyrtec. But like I said, it was just annoying to have to deal with that and still have side effects. Even when I was taking medicine, it still wouldn't make me all good. I think YouTube crashed again. Yeah, it was just a tiny bit, but I got it down to where like I still have the bottle. If I open it, there's just like these little crumbs inside of there. And then after I finished the bottle, you'd like hit it out, like find any little crumb, like, oh, okay, that's today's dose, you know. But it worked. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Raymond said, I asked my significant other for clarification. She said that jari may have a negative connotation as it's not used for some unexpectedly large number. Can you ask for an example of what they're talking about? If you're talking about like 1억짜리, it's like, why would you say what's going to be worth 100 million won? But no, it would be neutral. It doesn't have like a positive meaning. It's just a literal meaning, if that makes sense. But I'm curious what, no, it sounds normal. They constantly use jari for like, if you buy a house, for example, let me think of a realistic price. 10억짜리 아파트. Is that even a realistic price? Is for renting? I actually don't know how much you have to pay for it depending on the apartment, but let's just say that 10억짜리 아파트 doesn't have a negative connotation unless you're using it in a negative connotation, unless you're using that sentence in a negative way. Like, oh, all you have is this, you know, 1억짜리 아파트, hahaha, like that, then it's negative, but it's not negative because of jari, if that makes sense. It's negative because you're using it to devalue someone else's property. But if you built a brand new building, you could say it's like 100억짜리, whatever, 100억짜리, 새로운 아파트 단지 or whatever, like you could use it like that and there's no negative connotation at all. It's just neutral. But if you have a specific example, like a sentence, I'd be open to hearing it, but my guess is it's only negative from the way it's being used in the sentence, but not to do it all with the word jari because it's just a grammar form. Yeah, if you're judging the value of someone else's item, then that's negative, but not because of jari. It's negative because you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. Which is just more of a culture thing. Like if you're going around saying, oh, your car is, that's a, you know, 만불짜리 차, like $10,000 car, which is not a lot for a new car. I don't even think you'd be able to get a new car. A used car, it's not that much. But if you were to go around and say, oh, you just have this like 만원짜리 whatever car, then that's negative because you're talking about the price of their car. It's not negative because you're correctly using a grammar form. You can't not use jari in there to describe the car as being worth $10,000, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just from the usage of it, not from the word itself, if that makes sense. Joe Key or Joe K Doma asks, can I just say 얼마, typo, you'd want to say 얼마 예, not 에요, but you'd want to say 예요. Although it's pronounced as 에요, which is why you'll see other people write it as 에요, because that's how you say this most of the time, but would be written as 예요. So can I just say 얼마예요 when I want to ask how expensive something is? Yes, literally it's how much is it? 얼마짜리예요 is asking how much is it worth, which is not what you're asking when you're asking the price of something. You don't, if you go to a store, you wouldn't say, oh, how much is this worth? Because you're intending to buy it. You want to know how much is this? 얼마예요. That's it. 얼마예요. 얼마짜리예요 이거? How much is this one worth? Like, why does that matter? Are you going to buy it? Like, they can say it's worth $10,000, but 얼마예요? Oh, it's a 100원. It's 101, you know? So it's unrelated to the price. It's just what the value of it is. It's not when you ask the price for something, you just say 얼마예요 by itself, which is 얼마 plus 예요 or 입니까. But most of the time you're just going to use the 요 form. 얼마예요? How much is it? 이건 얼마예요? How much is this? Although if the price isn't posted, that means you can haggle. Prices need to be posted. If they are not posted, I guarantee you that price is flexible. If you go to a tourist area and you're trying to buy a souvenir and there's no price listed, it means it's negotiable. And it might mean that, oh, you look like you have a lot of money. It's twice the normal price. So just be cautious about that. I'm not a big fan of stores that like little stalls in Korea that don't list their prices. Most of them do though these days. They'll have a sign that says how much it costs, like written in pen or something. But you'll still find some tourist areas that sell items that don't list the price, and you're supposed to ask, and then they'll tell you a different price based on Are you a foreigner? How much does it look like? How much do I think I can get from it? Or if you buy 2 of them, I'll give you a discount, like that. But if they don't post their price and they tell you something is worth this, something costs this much, and you ask them for a small discount and they say, no, it's only this price, they are not being honest with you. Because if it was that price, they would post that price. The reason they don't post their price is because they want to be able to charge you more or less. So, haggling is not a big part of the Korean shopping experience anymore, but you'll still have to deal with it for some. I'd say a lot of like the tourist vendors will have, like, if they have an outdoor stall, you'll still see that sort of stuff. Keith says it's like calling $12 shoes or something. Yeah. That's a good analysis. So yeah, Raymond, if you're telling someone, oh man, you got a $100,000 house, like could be considerably inexpensive depending on where you are. Most likely $100,000 house is going to be very cheap no matter where you are, unless you're like somewhere far in the countryside. So if you're saying, oh, you got $5 shoes, it's negative, but not because you use the word $5 shoes. It's not because the number 5 is negative or dollar or shoe is negative, but because you are commenting on someone else's stuff that you have no business commenting on, like that. But I bought, so I don't want to diss any area in Korea. I'll just say there is a place in Korea where you can buy les counterfeits, as they say in French. And I went there once and I bought skater shoes. So I don't skate, but I bought skater shoes. They had 4 different brands of pieces. Like it was assembled like Frankenstein from 4 different brands, counterfeit parts. Like they had extra, the extra soles from Nike, and they had the extra laces from Adidas, and then the outside. Anyway, I think it was 4 different brands put together. They looked like legitimate shoes, and that I paid, no joke, I paid 5,000 won for skater shoes. Like nice, thick skater shoes. They lasted before the soles fell off. They lasted like 2 months. I'd say a good 2 months. And then, yeah, the soles fell off and I threw them in the trash where they belonged to begin with. But those would be something that you would say, 5,000원짜리 신발, because you hear that and it's like, oh, obviously you're making fun of it. But again, it has nothing to do with 짜리 being negative and everything to do with the fact that you're saying you got $5 shoes. That's what makes it negative. So hopefully that clears it up. So 짜리 itself has no such connotation, but if you're commenting on someone else's stuff and you're saying that's like $10 shoes, oh, that's a $5,000 car, then yes, it's negative because of that. In this case, I told my friends myself I bought 5,000원짜리 신발, and that, 운동화, 5,000원짜리 운동화. So in that case, it's fine because I'm putting my own shoes down, and yeah, they were pretty garbagey. Oh no, it wasn't Myeongdong. I'll just say that it wasn't Myeongdong. Myeongdong is not where you go to get that kind of stuff. You guys don't know the place that I would have said anyway. I just didn't want to spread it. I took my mom there once, not Myeongdong, but I took my mom to this other place to buy a Rolex once. So yeah, it's a different place. 1kg짜리 혼합을 주세요. Well, you can say 1kg짜리 or whatever, 1 kilogram of, if you mean 홍합, like mussels. Those kicks sound sweet. Yeah, I'm saying 4, it actually might have been more, but I clearly remember at least 4 different logos. And I kind of wish that I kept them just because they looked or took a photo, because they looked so ridiculous. Like I was laughing while I was buying them. I didn't even have to barter. They were just listed as 5,000 won. Which means they're really not worth 5,000 won. Yeah. 2 months is worth 5,000. Yeah, I mean, I felt cool for a little bit. And I'm pretty sure the parts that they were made of were legitimate. Like it was actual leftover parts from the factory that probably didn't meet the specifications that they threw out. And then someone just hastily sewed them together, you know? But yeah. Natalie says, I had to take Benadryl because I was allergic to one of my other medicine. Didn't make me sleepy. I found that if I only have like one, it's not too bad. But if I actually take the full dose, I'm knocked out. I'm gone. And Sarah says a fellow Zyrtec fraction user. Yes. Yes. Kai says, I'm currently making s'mores. Nice. The only time I think it's acceptable to eat American Hershey's chocolate is when you're making s'mores. Other times I'm not a fan of Hershey's, but if it's for s'mores, I think it's really good. The way that it melts, it doesn't like become liquid, it just softens. But no, Raymond, and Raymond says that makes sense. You had a good point though, in that, yeah, it could commonly be used in a negative way, because a lot of times if you're talking about someone else's item, it's like, why are you talking about that in that way? Do you really have to say the price of it? For conjugating the present tense casual, is it always all, or is it based on the last vowel in the verb stem? Well, are you asking about so present tense? I mean, already I can give you one example that doesn't do that. Hada. What's hada? Hada is hey. So it's not all. Hey or heu. For casual, just you. If you're talking about verbs that end with a dark vowel, so that's like all or oo, like that, those ones are all. But if you're talking about ones that end in a light vowel, so ah or o, those light vowels like kada is ka, right? 살다 is 살아, right? 살아. Not 살어, 살아. 아프다 is 아프다 becomes 아파 because it ends in a. So you get 아파. Is that the question you're asking, or was it something else? Ashwin says, I want to thank you for beginner Korean course. I just got into it right after watching your ATEEZ episodes. Nice. I'm really proud of the beginner Korean course. Glad you like it. Speaking of chocolate, Mikey says, disappointed in the low score for the Oreo churro. It looks like it should be amazing. I know. I was disappointed in that. Really. When I started filming that video, my goal for that video with my friend who I filmed it with, Randy, he's hilarious. I haven't seen him in like a couple years. Anyway, my goal for the video was, let's show people some really interesting, tasty foods that they can get in Myeongdong. And it's like, if you watch the video, it's like, none of it's that great. I was kind of tricked. And I was sure the Oreo churro would have been incredible. And it just tasted like it had just been sitting around for several hours. Like they made it in the morning and I got it at the evening. And the dip or whatever that you have to pay extra for was just like, they just crammed some low quality cake frosting in a container. It wasn't even that great. What is really good, if you see it, and I don't think it's a Korean exclusive thing. I think my opinion is this probably came over from China, but it's it's a stick and it's this giant marshmallow, and inside is like a little block. Actually, it's not rectangle shape. It's more like a square. But in there is a block of ice cream. And this outside is marshmallow. And the person, when you buy it from, they'll take a little torch and they'll cook the marshmallow. So it's like, you know, like a s'more, like a really crispy toasted marshmallow that's gooey inside with some kind of cheap ice cream. It's not the best quality ice cream, I'll say, but it's good enough. These are really good. If you find these, they are not a tourist trap. Like, these are legitimately a good street food. Yeah. You'll see them in Korea. They started getting more popular they started appearing like a couple years ago, but I saw them more often last year when I was in Korea. And yeah, they're really good. Kai says, I mean dark vowels. Then yes, dark vowels would always be oyo. Bia says, I found out I might have enough money to travel to Korea next year. Oh, says, I'm sad your book is only available on the American Amazon. No, it's actually worldwide. You can get it from anywhere. If you search any store, you can find there's like a list on my website as well. You can get links to other places. No, you can get it in other stores as well. Yeah, it's really good. And you can see this if you want to see what I'm talking about. I did a video with Jeremy where we went to 통인시장, I think it was. Yeah, there's like a market. We went to an outdoor market where you pay for your food with these coins, which are the circle coins with like the square inside them. These are called, you know what I'm talking about. Those like goldish, those bronze coins. Those are called yeopjeon. So yeopjeon are those coins, and you exchange your money for yeopjeon, and you use those coins at about half of the vendors accept them and about the other half don't. But you exchange these to get little bits of food. So instead of like getting a full serving of something, you just get like a few. So it's kind of fun. You get to try out a lot of different food. And one of the things that they have there, I don't think they accept yeopjeon at this place, but one of the things we got was this ice cream. So you can watch that video and then see us eat some ice cream. And I ended up trying like one bite of it at the very beginning, but Jeremy ate the rest and he didn't share any with me. What are they called? I actually don't know. Marshmallow ice cream, you could say, and I'm sure they know what you're talking about. Just say marshmallow ice cream. There's also an ebook on his website. Yes, I also have them available as ebooks, and there are some other places to get them. Personally, if you print it at home, you're going to get a better quality than the one you buy because the printed ones are black and white. That's just due to the publishing, not the publisher, because I am the publisher, but the printing company that I use only prints at black and white. But if you get the PDF, which is for a computer only, that one's full color. So if you were to buy it in PDF and print it at home, which is 400 pages, good luck, but you can do it, you'll get a full color book, which could be kind of cool. And it's cheaper. The ebooks are a little bit cheaper than the print books, obviously, because there's no shipping. Golden Buffy said, I was headed to Korea in 2020. You and me both. I also had plans to go to Korea in 2020. I had tickets in 2020. Fortunately, they got refunded. But it fell through. So mad I had my ticket and everything. Hopefully we'll be going either next year or in 2026. Hopefully you got refunded as well. I know that they were offering refunds because of that at the time, because not because of the situation going on, but because flights were actually getting canceled because of that. So they ended up refunding. My trip was just at the time where they were canceling all the flights. So it ended up working out. Yeah, and the third book has even more pages. The third book, I believe, is even closer to 400. I don't like to wait for things, says Kai, so I went with the ebook. Oh yeah, and anyone here tuning in now, this is the part of the lesson where we just go off topic and talk about whatever we want to. But you can ask questions if you have anything for the lesson today, Chari. Next Sunday, we're also going to be doing another related topic, which is ochi. Ochi also means a value of something. So we're going to talk about ochi and how it's different than Chari. We'll do that next Sunday, though. Golden what? You should have, because you would not have been able to take the flight. Like, unless, I guess, depends on when the flight was. Like, if it was right at the very beginning before they were canceling flights, but when they started like closing everything down, then that would be, you might be out of luck because they could have flown you there. You just didn't, you chose to not go. But if it was one of the times where they actually were canceling, you should get a refund for that because you wouldn't have been able to go anyway. It wasn't your fault that your ticket got canceled. So I guess it depends on when you were trying to go. I already installed the free PDFs. Which free PDFs are you talking about? I do not have free PDFs. Unless you're talking about the Learn Korean series, the short videos on my channel, those ones do have free PDFs. Will Wilson says, I grew up in Koreatown, Seattle, 14 years and didn't learn one word. Yeah, I live in LA, okay? So I'm in Korea about a third of every year. So I'm in Korea about 3 months or so of every single year. But the remaining time I'm here in LA. Koreatown is not too far from here. I don't have a single Korean friend in the entire US. Does that make you feel better? You're a Korean teacher. I've been learning Korean now for almost 20 years. I don't have one Korean friend in the entire United States. I mean, I know a couple Koreans through my wife who knows some Koreans. I don't have any friends though. Like no one I would say, oh, that's my friend. They're from LA. Oh no, I guess I could count. I do know Johnson from the YouTube channel Sponge Mine, but I don't meet him that much. I think I saw him last like 2 years ago. But yeah, I'll say he's my friend. But besides that, I don't know anyone who's Korean in the entire US. So yeah, big wasted opportunity. Although I do have plenty of friends in Korea, just not outside of Korea. Okay, Kai says, so I know when greeting someone you say their name first and then hello. If you wanted to say hello friends, would it be in the same order? Well, I mean, you could just say 안녕 친구들, like hey friends, if you want. Depends how you want to say hello friends. Are you talking casually? If you're talking casually, 안녕, 다들 안녕. 다들, you can use 다들. There are a few things you can use. You're not limited to like one way of saying this. 다들. This is a casual way. I shouldn't say casual, informal way of saying everyone, you all. 다들 안녕. But that's going to be a casual way of saying that. So you want to make sure they're actually your close friends before you do that. I got my ticket through a pay over time and they wouldn't refund it. I would have just contacted my credit card company and disputed the charges. I mean, I don't know what the time cutoff for doing that is, but maybe you could still try doing it now. Just say I was never offered. It's been 4 years and I was never offered any sort of replacement. I was never given a refund, but I was unable to take the flight because it was canceled. See if you have a good credit card. Maybe they'll do it. I don't know. I mean, Costco takes returns like 10 years after you buy something. So who knows? I mean, it doesn't hurt to try it, but I would have just done a chargeback like right away. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do this. Like you guys are providing nothing to me, but took my money. I would have tried to get it back. But yeah, that's too bad though. Hopefully maybe you can get something back. When's the last time you updated your Anki? Last year. And I'm going to be doing, no, this year. I did an update this year earlier, I think in the summer. I think in July I did an update or something. And I'll do another update next year as well. The reason that the updates are slow is because every single day I'm actually updating it, but I don't upload that file to Patreon every single day. But every day as I work my way through the deck, I'm actually using it as a vocabulary deck. I started like back in, I don't know, 2020 or 2019, I started using it as an actual vocabulary deck. And as I go through it, I'll find old words that I put in but aren't organized nicely. So I'll reformat the card, like maybe add sentences, add hanja, add pronunciation, all that stuff. And I'm just kind of clearing it piece by piece. Well, then you have one friend. Yeah, I mean, technically, though, we don't talk. He's totally cool guy. We just don't live next to each other. Just curious, Ashwin asks, just curious, as you did some K-pop videos, did it change a lot to your personal playlist? No, it did not. And this is usually what happens after in order to do a K-pop analysis video or series, I eat and breathe nothing but that group the entire time. I've been doing nothing but consuming ATEEZ content since the middle of November. It's when I first started that video series. And I'm still just editing their videos. That's all I do. I'll wake up, shower, get dressed, maybe start around 8:30 or 9, depending on what time I wake up, and edit all the way until like 7 or 8 p.m., go to bed. The next day, do the exact same thing. That's all I'm doing now is just editing. While I'm doing so much research on the group, whatever it is, BTS or ATEEZ or TXT or GOT7 or Stray Kids or Twice or whoever I'm doing, I get really knowledgeable about the people, their personalities, like who they are. And I feel like a little bit of connection with them. Like I get them. Like I know what you're like. If I were to meet you in real life outside of the show that I see you in, I know what your real personality would be like. I understand you. And I gain a lot of appreciation for, like, I guess maybe appreciation is not the best word. I gain a lot of respect for the people that are performing, that the work that they're doing. I can see what things they're actually doing. Where are they working hard? What are their talents? What are their weaknesses? I can see all that. And that's what I get is it's a newfound respect for whatever group or person that I'm currently working on. What I don't get into is typically music, because I don't listen to much Korean music in general. So, I mean, I do find a few songs from whoever I'm analyzing. I will find a few songs that I like, but it doesn't make me, like, I don't ever get into one of the fandoms, at least not yet. Maybe there will be a group in the future that I start researching them, like, oh, now I have to go to their concerts, but that hasn't happened yet, because it's typically not the type of music that I listen to begin with. I usually don't have any time to just sit back and listen to music. The only time I get to listen to music are in the background while I'm like writing a book or editing a book or doing something like that. It's just kind of like background music is how I listen to music. I don't really consume regular music because I don't have an opportunity to do that. I don't have free time to just, it's kind of sad, but I don't have free time to just sit and listen to music. So yeah. And it's the same right now with ATs. Like, I don't consider myself A-teeny, but I feel like I totally respect them and I get them. Like, I'm a fan without being a fan, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun though making their videos. Is your Anki, oh, let me see, someone else wrote something before. Oh, okay, Midzi asks, is your Anki free? No, the Anki is one of the items you can get in for joining my Patreon page. I think it's the $5 tier. And that's my personal Anki deck, which just has tons of random stuff. A lot of words that you won't find on your own, words that you're not going to be taught in a textbook. And then some like really, really fun words that like, oh, I wish I knew this one, like special slang words you're not going to get anywhere else. And about 4,000 something entries in there right now. Savan says, what's the best Korean restaurant in LA? I don't think I can tell you that because, well, there are some famous restaurants, but you're asking best. You're not saying what's the most famous. Because like one of the most famous ones would be like Agassi Gopchang, which is the one that BTS famously ate at when they were in LA. But best depends what you want. So I can't really give you an answer. It depends on the food you want. Like if you're looking for kukbap, then I might say, oh, there. Or if you're looking for Korean barbecue, I might say, oh, well, there or there, but there isn't really a best one. Have been some bad ones though, but most of them have been okay. Do you still keep in touch with Jeremy from Motivate Korean? No, I haven't heard from him ever since he closed the channel. So I don't know. I have the old Anki deck. Is the update free? Yeah, if you're on Patreon, you can just download the new version. But you don't have to wait for the update because the current update, I mean, it's okay as it is, but there will be another update again this year. Next year, 2025. Natalie says, so when analyzing Idol's speech, do you analyze the lyrics? No, I don't touch the songs because that would be a whole can of worms trying to deal with analyzing songs. Copyright doesn't permit as much as people think it does. And it would be easy if a company found out that I was analyzing their songs, they could just be like, I'm going to shut it down because you're like playing the song, all the lyrics. Probably would be safe though, but I don't want to get into lyric analysis. I'm happier doing analysis of their actual speaking and their content because lyrics aren't even going to be able to give me a lot of content for teaching Korean compared to their actual speech, since lyrics are more like poetry and they're not always accurate Korean. But also I just think it's more fun to be able to show short clips, but I wouldn't be able to play short sections. Sorry. I wouldn't be able to play short sections of music without getting a strike from copyright. So I'm always really careful not to play music whenever I do these analysis. Okay. Billy, you have 1,300 something videos. Do I? Let me check. Do I? I'm going to check how many videos I have exactly right now. On my computer, none of you can see this, but I have a folder with all of my videos in it. Ah, that's right. This doesn't include I have a folder, but it doesn't include live streams or abridged. And I know I've done about 200 live streams and about 200 abridged, so plus 400, 918 videos plus about 400 makes around 1,300. Okay. Yeah, that's about right. I do have a lot of videos though in my folder that that you've never seen because they're not posted yet. Like I'm already ahead in the ATEEZ videos. You've just seen the Seonghwa video, the second one, but I've already edited past there. So I just haven't uploaded the videos yet. I listened to very few K-pop songs back in 2014 and went back to it a year and a half ago because why not? I've discovered many cool groups and was on concert of ITZY and now going to Korea. Just want to share. Oh, cool. 1,334. Oh. I got to get 3 more videos. Then I'll be leet. 3 more videos and I'm going to be confirmed leet. I'll be the most elite Korean teacher in all of YouTube. Yeah, it's a lot of videos. I'm going to watch your Seonghwa one after this live. Okay, yeah, the Seonghwa one's the longest video so far. Although I think the Jongho video might be longer. I'm not positive yet. I haven't even edited that one. I'm not yet ready for that one yet. But I think the Jongho video could be the longest. But so far, the Seonghwa video is the longest. It's like over 27 minutes. The other ones are like 21, 22. But yeah. Any other questions about the topic we did today or just Korean? Anything you want to know? I'll stick around for just 5 more minutes and then we're going to stop. I'm only going to go to 3:55 and then we're going to stop. Here's to you, Billy. I know how long editing takes. Yeah, I've done editing since I was 14. Yeah, I think around 14 years old, I've been doing editing on a regular basis. Because I used to edit little short films and I've been using the same software since I was like 14. So I'm really fast when it comes to editing. I'm not a skilled editor, but I'm fast. And yeah, it does take a lot of time, a lot of focus, like lots of little clicking. And like the first Hongjung video that I did for ATEEZ, which is like 24 minutes long, I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, got ready, started editing at 8 o'clock, and I finished that video nonstop except for like a 30-minute lunch break. I finished that video and uploaded it at 9 o'clock at night. And I finished the whole video in one day. But it took a long time to do it. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time editing. Some of the videos I film will take an average of like 2 or 3 days to edit. The video for the 24-hour Korean challenge that I filmed with my friend Jeremy, not my son, but my friend Jeremy. That video, I think, was 5 days to edit. Believe it or not, because it was like 6 hours of recorded footage that we had. We were filming like all day, but I didn't film when we were like on the bus or on the subway or walking just somewhere to another place. But I still had to edit through like 6 or 7 hours of footage, and that took a long time. Did you do an analysis on all the Stray Kids? No, I did not. I only did those 2 because that was before the series was about analyzing Korean speaking. It was about analyzing non-Koreans learning Korean was the whole point of the series, was how can someone speak Korean? How do people speak Korean who aren't native Korean speakers? If I made their videos now, I would do all the members and do a new episode about each of them as well, Bangtan and Felix, separately, and I wouldn't just talk about how they speak Korean as non-native Korean speakers, but I would also talk about, okay, let's just put that part aside for a second and let's just listen to how they speak Korean. I would talk about intonation and pronunciation, all that stuff. So the way I make the videos now is different at that time, how I was doing it, but I only did those two. Hey, Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. The funny thing is, 감사합니다. The funny thing is, I probably make more in donations than I do from like one of my ATs videos, like one of my major videos. I can make more donations by just turning on a live stream and talking about like $5 skater shoes and, you know, Korean marshmallow ice cream. Really appreciate it. Golden Buffy says, I have to say I really love your Hong Jung one, but I also love him. I can say that Hong Jung even texts the way he speaks. Oh, I believe it. I picked my favorite member right away when I started the series, but I'll say it wasn't Hong Jung, but it was almost Hong Jung. Hong Jung was second. I almost picked Hong Jung as my favorite member. Like I always pick a favorite when I'm doing these series because, you know, one of them that I feel like I connect the most with or I like the way they speak the most. Yeah, it was almost Hong Jung. But you probably won't be able to guess who it was. I'll say that too. Lady Natbug, Billy, may you have a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. You too. Is anyone making a resolution for 2025 for their Korean? Anyone have new goals they're going to be setting? Like I said, I have goals for things I'm going to do, but not New Year's goals because I'm already working on them right now. Mikey says, you have so many videos. I legit was just trying to see where to visit and typed in Insadong and I was surprised you had a video. Yes, I do. I think I made a video about how Insadong is a bit overrated. I like it. Overall, I like it, but Insadong, Myeongdong, Gwangjang-sijang are like the most common spots for tourists to visit. And they're not my favorite places. And the sad thing is there are really cool spots like right next to there you could go to, but I don't see too many foreigners going there. Hey, Kai! Thank you, Kai, as well. Raymond, you didn't write a message, but if you do, I will definitely read that as well. Kai, I'm going to write your donation up here, and then I'm going to read your message. What did Kai say? Kai said, I just want to say thank you for all you do. You and your channel are very welcoming and encouraging, and the fact that so much is free, yes, means a lot to so many people. You are appreciated, Billy. Thank you so much, Kai. I take back everything bad I ever said about Adobe. I don't. I'm really sorry for all the stuff I said. I really appreciate you, Kai, though. Resolutions are a scam, said Fisher. They can be, yes. I want to be conversationally fluent in the new year. Lauren, if you want to be conversationally fluent in the new year, have I got something? Have I got something to sell you? For the low price of $0, you can become conversationally fluent in Korean with my beginner Korean course. And yeah, it really is. It really does go up to a conversational level, although the amount that will be depends completely on how much time you're able to devote to listening practice and speaking practice. But the knowledge is there. And yeah, again, completely free. There's not even a book for it. It's just a free thing. It's its own thing. There's nothing else you can get for it. I think I can afford that. Yeah, I think you can afford free. Yes. Any end of the year dabs? Oh, that's a good idea. Keith says, my goal for Korean is simply to enjoy and learn as best as I can. And Kai saves Adobe, he says. Raymond says, I want to be able to order from a cafe without panicking. Yes, because they asked me if I wanted ice. Yeah. Usually what I do, this is something I did a lot as a beginner. I do less now, but when you want to start speaking Korean to someone, you want a good start to your conversation, no matter what it is, because you don't want them to immediately think this person doesn't speak Korean. I'm not going to understand what they say. They're probably just going to use English to me. You want to tell them right away, hey, I speak some Korean and we're going to have this conversation in Korean. So the way you do that without any special body language or any memorized phrases, is one of these. K, to. These just mean or Now, I will say that using these ones repeatedly will actually have an opposite effect and make your Korean sound less native. But what they do, regardless, is they convey to the other person that you are going to be speaking in Korean, because these are only Korean things. So if you start a conversation, you're trying to think of what to order, and you stand up, you're like, go up to the cafe, and they don't have a kiosk. There's just a person standing there, and you want to order, but you don't know what you want, but you want to tell them right away, like, hey, I'm going to practice my Korean whether you like it or not. But don't you dare try to speak English to me, because I actually want to use Korean. If you just stand there and you don't say anything, they're just going to say, oh, excuse me, you know, what would you like? Or maybe they speak fluent English. But you start off the conversation. You walk up there, you're like, you look at the menu, you go, 그, or, 저, like that. That tells them right away, this foreigner dude or girl can speak some Korean. And they're not going to try to use English to you if you use this right away. You can say 저, 그, and then say whatever you want. 8번 주세요. Or 8번이 뭐예요? Like, what's number 8? You know, or, you know, give me this or whatever. You can ask questions, but they're going to know that you speak Korean because you used one of these. It's like a little hack. I don't do this so much anymore because I can convey with my body language when I'm in Korea. When I'm in a new place, I can kind of convey with my body language and the way I speak that I speak Korean. So I don't need to rely on this anymore. But still, sometimes if I'm walking into a new place and I'm dressed like this, you know, I'm holding like my backpack and I'm doing filming, I look like a foreigner. So I might do that too. I mean, and then I'll point to whatever I want. 그거 주세요. 그거 하나 주세요. Or 이거 하나 주세요. Or 이거 얼마예요? Or, you know, anyway, whatever you want to say. This kind of just tells them, hey, I speak Korean. I'm going to say something. It's going to be epic. Just wait. Kai says, my Korean goal is going to be to study at least 30 minutes every day. That is a really ambitious goal, but that's as ambitious as I would say anyone should be, is like 30 minutes a day. Beyond there, it's a bit unrealistic because life happens. And the end of the year, more comfortable speaking and with a larger vocabulary than where I'm ending 2024. That's nice. Mikey says, my goal just to get better. I don't know how to measure it. If you have a goal for something you're doing, like I'm going to read through this book, I'm going to watch this show, then that'll help with that, the goal to be more concrete. Taeyong said, I haven't studied much at all, so I'm reorganizing my house. Going to be check-ins and goals, daily, weekly, month. Nice. 2,025 dabs. If someone donates $2,025, I will do 2,025 dabs and my arms will literally fall off and I will not be able to edit a video for like the next 2 days. Golden Buffy. Golden Buffy. I don't want to tell you who my favorite member is because I don't want to spoil it. I'll just say that. I don't want to tell you who my favorite member is because I don't want to spoil it. That's all I'm going to say. My New Year's resolution is to become better at Korean next year. And thank you, Billy, for all that you do. Thank you. Can I promote not a product. Can I promote a goal that all of you should add to 2025? I think my wife just sneezed. Bless you. Okay. Add this to your goal, whatever it is, whether you have a general, like, be good at Korean, or, you know, I already have a goal of 15 minutes a day of vocab, 5 minutes a day of grammar, whatever. Add something like this to your daily, or even if you can't do it, let's make it easy, like a weekly goal. Weekly goal of 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 100 minutes. I don't know how much free time you have. It doesn't have to be a lot. Of Korean listening practice. So that will be something that the Korean level is not insanely above where you are. and something that's real Korean. So preferably not a drama, because dramas are usually going to be way above your level. Something like variety show or a YouTube video, or maybe a video of like your favorite K-pop member talking to the camera, like in their videos, or like a live stream or a podcast, something like that. Please add some sort of goal like this. Write this down, say Billy told you to add this, and then at the end of the year, come back to me and tell me how much this helped you. I'm going to be using your beginner course to get back on track. Nice. Mikey says, learn the phrase, I'm German, no English. You know, you're joking, Mikey, but I actually told people, oh, je suis français, when I was in Korea, to avoid speaking English. Sometimes, if I didn't want to speak English with that person, like if they seemed like kind of a weirdo and they were using English to me and I just kind of wanted to get away from them, but I didn't want them to keep using English and interacting, oh, je suis désolé, je suis français. I didn't even know if what I'm saying was correct, but I was like, I knew they would interpret it as French. And then I would say, oh, 저 영어 잘 못해요. 저 프랑스 사람이에요. Like, I'm just literally, I'm French. I don't understand any English. I did use that a few times. I had that happen to me one time. Like a couple times I've had people get like really mad at me for speaking in English. Like, you know, kind of like people who are a bit racist. And then I would just immediately go to that line. Like, oh, I don't even speak English. Pororo. Pororo. I found to be my level. Yeah, pororo is okay, though it's for kids. It's a lot of slang, but yeah, it's okay. I shouldn't say slang, but casual speech. In 1 to 2 months, I want to try to study for 2.5 hours a day. Fisho, I did Korean. No, Korean I did longer than that per day. But when I was doing Japanese before Korean, what worked really well, I did 4 hours minimum per day. Some days it was 3 if I had other stuff, but I tried to do 4 hours a day, which is ridiculous. But it worked because it was 4 hours of, like, it would include regular sit-down studying, but it would also be chatting, like typing and reading a lot, watching shows, listening to podcasts. I had some books that had like audio, like a narration for the book. I mean, the more the merrier, but what you don't want is to set a goal that makes you burn out, or to set a goal that you end up failing at, and then you feel like you didn't do a good job, even though you did a really good job and you studied a ton. So I usually recommend smaller goals just to avoid getting demotivated. But I do definitely recommend adding some Korean listening practice, because people underestimate the importance of this. They think if they just speak Korean, they're going to get better. And that's true. You're not going to get better just by listening, but you're also not going to get better just by speaking. You need to be well-rounded to get good at Korean, because when you actually go to Korea, what are you going to be doing? Listening and speaking. Are you going to be like opening a grammar book and like referencing stuff when you're talking to people? At most, you might have a small dictionary, or you're just going to look up things in your phone. So yeah. Listen to the AT's live pops. Yeah, those are useful. Yeah, but depending on who you're listening to, I'll say. Hongjung mumbles. Yeah, Hongjung is not the best to practice Korean with. But Jongho, yeah, Jongho's good. Songhwa is good. Yunho. Yeah, Yunho is where it's at for listening practice. Wooyoung is the most difficult member to understand. You might be surprised at my video for a different member. Maybe you can guess, but I'll say it's not Wooyoung. In my opinion, I don't think it's Wooyoung. Woosan and HJ, I would have to say. Does it really help to listen to Korean daily without any good basic knowledge? Are you talking about just listening to Korean without doing any studying? No. You would have to do that for like hundreds of thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours before you would be able to pick up basic expressions. There's a better usage of 10,000 hours, and it can be a mixture of listening and studying. So, hey, Kai! Kai would like to cash in her dabs. I will grant that because I'm going to end the stream. It's already Too late. I already said I was going to end it 10 minutes ago and I kept talking. Kai would like to cash in her dabs to end 2024. Update to my goal. I'd like to feel comfortable enough with my Korean to take an italki class. Add this in. You could totally do it. You'd be surprised how easy it is to do like a tutoring class with a Korean tutor. Someone who's like understanding that you're taking extra time to talk and who will speak clearly for you. I think you could do it like right now. Although if you have more of this, you'll be more comfortable with it. Okay, let me cash in Kai's dabs. $25? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Kai. Okay. Is it Yosang because of his lisp? No, he's not the hardest member to understand. Actually, I don't want to keep saying yes and no because I'm just going to give away who it is, but Billy believes in me. You can do it. What time do you usually go live? It's the same time every time I do it. Although it's going to be it's going to change though, I know, for next month because daylight savings time is going to start again. So he says my podcast recommendation videos. Yes, I did a podcast recommendation video last month that has all of my favorite currently active YouTube podcasts. Now there were a few I wanted to add, but I couldn't because they're not active. But yeah, there's a podcast recommendation as well as another YouTube channel recommendation you can find on my channel from just last month. Okay, we're good. Lauren says, would you recommend watching streams from K-pop artists of the same gender? Yes, I would. Because you want to listen to the people, you want to listen to the type of intonation and pronunciation that you want to have yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't listen to speaking of the opposite gender when you're trying to get this sort of listening practice, but I would try to majorly, is that the right word? Get content from the person, not just the same gender, but someone who sounds like how you want to sound. So maybe you do want to sound like someone of the opposite gender. That's fine. It's 2024. It's 2025 soon. I'm not going to judge you. But pick someone that sounds like how you would kind of like to sound. So don't listen to Wooyoung from ATEEZ. You do not want to sound like that. Although he's hilarious. Pick someone that sounds more standard, right? But yeah, that sort of thing is something you want for most of your content should be like that, but it doesn't mean like avoid other people because you're still going to need to hear how other types of people speak. You're still going to need to hear how older people speak. Even if you're like young, you still need to hear how other people speak because you're going to interact with different age groups and different genders when you're in Korea. Okay, that's enough for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.